So I was just explaining to Jodi MacKinnon-LeBlanc, that I'm doing an episode every week, a video episode, talking to like other early childhood educators, sometimes some presenters or authors or speakers, but even some parents about early childhood education. And so I want to make sure that I talk to a lot of local people as well who work nearby me. So I'm honored enough to be on a board of directors with Jodi. But I think what would be really neat to talk to Jodi about in our line of work is the decision that you made, because Jodi operates a center-based program.
Yes.
And has satellites in people's homes.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing that?
I've had the center 10 years this summer, and the agency's been about 8 years.
Okay, and so we should say that it's Little
Gems Early Learning Childcare Center and Family Home Daycare Agency.
And Family Home Daycare Agency. That's a lot to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Do you like Little Gems?
Little Gems.
You don't
Little
say
Gems.
it all. Okay. And in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia.
Yep.
So are all the homes in Yarmouth as well?
Nope, we have homes from Yarmouth all the way up to Windsor.
Okay, wow. So was it okay, well, let me just back up the truck. So when you made the decision to do that, was that right at the time that the Department of Education, which used to be the Department of Community Services, rolled that out for consideration? Did you say, oh my gosh, I'm doing this?
It was, there was 4 pilot projects in Nova Scotia for 20-ish years, and when the government started to focus more on that and realized that that actually worked and should be more focused, they held a big meeting inviting all of Nova Scotia to attend. I attended mainly because being a private center and focusing completely on quality, there's no money to be given to me as the owner and director. So I looked at it as an opportunity for 2 things. One was to be able to earn an income, and 2, because in Yarmouth there was only about 16 infant spaces at the time, and this was supposed to create a lot of infant spaces. So my theory was they could go through the infant program in the homes in the Yarmouth area, and then when they hit 18 months come to us, but it didn't play out that way at all.
Okay. So how did it play out?
Well, none of the providers wanted infants because you could only have a maximum of 3 infants at a time, and infants are a lot more challenging than a group of older children that are more independent and can be more self-sufficient when you're doing in home. So a lot of them were focusing on toddler preschool age, plus you could have up to 6, where infants you could only have 3. And then the more I focused on it, the more I realized that it was more than creating childcare spaces, it was creating employment for moms to stay home and raise their own kids, and families to be able to make an income in Nova Scotia where there's little income to be made. And so as Yarmouth started to expand, I had people contacting me all the way across Nova Scotia, asking for information, and I put a lot of time and investment advertising the agencies. Currently there's 16 agencies, I think, and I put a lot of time investing into promoting all of the agencies, and had calls as far as Halifax, straight through to Spring Hill.
So when you use the term agencies, for people not familiar, and when I say that I even mean myself, because when I heard about all of that, a lot of people had said, okay, Heather, you're gonna jump on this because you jump on everything that early childhood does in Nova Scotia, kind of like, kids are kids, is gonna jump on it. And I read it and thought, this is neat, and I thought, oh my gosh, I just have too much on the go. So when you say agencies, what that refers to, that's the appropriate term for a center that is sort of supervising or monitoring or working with the homes,
Yep.
right? So are the homes licensed through
No.
your center?
The center or the agency is licensed, the home is approved. So basically what it is the agency director or consultants would go into the homes, offer materials, supplies, supports, mentoring. We would implement activities to show the providers how they could implement activities with the children of various ages. If they needed a crib, we had funding that we could purchase cribs. There's quite a few regulations that are similar, but not as disciplined as the centers. For example, you're not allowed to use playpens in a provider's home, which is the same as the center. So they provide money that you can buy collapsible cribs or portable cribs, stable cribs, whatever you need.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, for example, I would go into a home, I would do an activity. Our agency will cover doctor's appointments so that they don't have to close for the day and lose a whole day's income. That's my choice because I believe that's what the provider needs, and I just believe that I'm meant to be there for the provider to make them successful. So we currently have, give and take, 30 providers from Yarmouth to Windsor.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, and we have 2 wonderful consultants in Yarmouth. I do all the visits all the way to Windsor. They do Yarmouth, Digby, and Greenwood area. It's a fantastic program. Providers have the support. They're able to offer the quality because they're being trained. They have to have criminal record checks, child abuse checks, first aid level C. They have to carry a specific homeowner's insurance. We do inspections to make sure their home is safe and that they're following regs. The food regulations, they have to follow the same food regulations.
Now they aren't early childhood educators.
This was the other thing the department thought, that it would provide childcare spaces for subsidized children in the homes for non-educated or not early childhood educators. But it turned out that many of our providers are actually early childhood educators. Because when you go work for a center, you're following that center's philosophy. You're implementing their morals, their beliefs, their ethics, everything, where in your own home you can do all of that. You're self-employed, you're running your home-based childcare program based on your beliefs and your philosophies.
Yes, so over the 20 years I've had kids, I've had people who have had their own children, and after they've had maybe their second child or whatever, they decide to stay home and maybe run an in-home program unlicensed, and they've said to me, oh, if you ever think about doing this. So for me, I could easily see the people being early childhood educators, but they don't have to be.
No.
But some are.
You can really tell the difference though when you go into an educator's home and when you go into a home of a parent, because the training and experience comes with being in the field, where when you're a home and a parent, it's your instincts and your nature are what moves you.
So, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. So there are currently 16 in the province?
There's between 14 and 16. I can't exactly remember, but if you do go on the Department of Education website and look under family home daycare agencies, there's a whole list of the agencies in the directory.
So I'll make sure in the description of this video, I'll make sure to have that link.
Yep.
And did I understand correctly? I believe, because just recently I said to you that I wanted to get together with you and maybe have a meal together and pick your brain about it, because I'm now ready to do it. And did I dream this, or did you tell me that it's frozen?
It was frozen until this financial aspect with the department became stable. So we were asked not to add any more providers because we didn't have the funding to provide what they needed, and they were not allowing any more centers to become licensed, I believe, as well as newly licensed centers weren't allowed to tap into the grants. I believe that is now being pushed aside and you can reapply, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But you can ask
So don't
your
quote you on
licensing
that, but you
officer.
said it in a video, so nobody quote her on that. But we can look into it.
Yes.
We're gonna check
Ask
it
your
out.
consultant or
Okay.
your licensing advisor,
Right.
and they'll guide you.
So Jodi, I know that I will have a million more questions. Other people may have more questions, but I really want to thank you so much for taking the time, because you've got me thinking even harder about it. But I cannot believe that you have that many, that reach that you have for that many families, that many children and families in your area, and the quantity of jobs you're providing. And so, how many children is that between your center and the
I
satellite?
think at our center, it's about 40 children and 9 staff. And from Yarmouth to Windsor, it's about 30 providers and about, I believe it was about 160 kids. And most of them have subsidies right now.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
So you must feel really satisfied and thrilled that you can do that.
I do, because I was a young mom once and I had to go on social assistance, and it was horrible. And for me to be able to allow these moms to raise their own kids and earn an income, it's empowering.
Okay. So for people watching the video, I'm just gonna slap 5 and say thank you to Jodi for her hard work.
You're welcome.
And thanks everybody for checking it out. Don't forget to send us any questions.
Thank you.